excitement. Right here. Right here on TraxxFM.
Good morning. Welcome to What Matters. It's Kong Yu with you on the segment, as always, happening every Thursday, where we address an issue or something that is affecting us all as consumers or affecting us all as Malaysians, and sometimes just generally, of course, as citizens of the world and how we function in society. Yeah? Today, with me to talk about a very important topic, because I think through the decades, one of the biggest challenges, complaints as well as, I have to say, responsibilities, we have to acknowledge, is on the cleanliness and hygiene of washrooms and also toilets. So that's the subject for today's discussion, which, by the way, if you'd like to join us for a first-hand participative look, as well as, just have a visual cue as to what happens in the studios, we have gone live on Facebook now for our Facebook Live session for today's topic. So join us. We are at TraxxFM Official. I see the numbers starting to pick up there, So come join us. If you have a question for my guest today, a comment that you'd like to share, feel free to type on the comment section. Meanwhile, speaking of my guest today, she is Carol Lam, who is the MD, the Managing Director for Malaysia, Philippines and Brunei of Rentokil Initial. Carol, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kong Yu.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thanks so much. Very soon we'll be celebrating another New Year.
Yeah, time flies, right?
Time flies, and with a lot of things to get done, even in the first 2 weeks of the year.
True.
So we appreciate your time and coming in this morning to talk about washroom hygiene. Okay, well, this is a very, very, I think, personal topic to many Malaysians. What is your opinion? I'm sure it's very similar to mine and many of our listeners today. Generally, the state of our washrooms, a trend in Malaysia overall.
All right. Well, in my opinion, there's definitely room for improvements on our current state of washroom hygiene in Malaysia, as we would still commonly find wet washrooms, shoe marks on toilet seats, and improper disposal of sanitary pads. Even more common in public washrooms are clogged water closets,
right?
Dysfunctional flushing systems, sometimes due to low water pressure, and poor maintenance. And one area that we usually can't avoid is the vandalism that we face from the public users.
Right.
So in our recent research in Rentokil Initial, where we did collect surveys among 1,000 people, 1 out of 4 people that we asked said that they are pretty shocked by the state of the public washroom, and usually leave without using the facilities. And more than half of them said that they find urine on the toilet seats and around the toilet bowls. 84% encountered that the water closets are not flushed, and 73% experienced that the washrooms are pretty messy, and 45% says that the toilets are with strong mail odor. So most public washrooms certainly do not have a very good reputation, as the awareness of maintaining hygiene public washroom in Malaysia is still quite low, I would say. But in terms of trend-wise, we've seen that over the years, most of the retail sectors have put in much more efforts in upgrading their washrooms. And commercial property owners are also taking active ownership in improving the state of hygiene in their washroom.
Interesting, stats here, which basically just proves, what we've been feeling all along. But I'm curious as to see, because your site did do a official survey. How long ago was that?
About 2 years.
2 years ago, so it's quite recent.
Yes, quite recent.
Quite recent, because we've had this issue with, for decades for our country, Malaysia. For whatever reason, and there's so many reasons, some of it we will talk about. But generally, I think you're right in terms of there is more incentive for commercial areas, right? Shopping malls and all that.
Yes.
Right? Because they feel that would, obviously make the customers happier.
Correct.
Having usable toilets and all that, And some of the upgrades also, I think, in terms of these public toilets, also the premium toilet facilities. I think we see them also in some of the higher end areas and shopping centers also.
Retail shopping malls.
Retail shopping malls generally, Everybody deserves basically a more clean and hygienic washrooms. It's pretty interesting, though. Have you any other information to share with us in terms of the trend and also the awareness and also what we see in commercial sectors, in raising the bar for the hygiene level in their washrooms?
Well, consumers nowadays are becoming more demanding. And the awareness of having a clean and hygienic washroom has become a growing necessity in them as well. Thus, these consumers will prefer a retail place where the washrooms are equipped with complete hygiene facilities. And of course, with the rise of social media right now, there are more and more users that would share positive or negative washroom experience online.
That's true, yeah. So quickly, again.
Yeah, and washroom is no longer just for functional needs nowadays. It has also become a social sport. You would sometimes see some young people taking pictures of the more Instagrammable washrooms. I'm sure you see them online as well. Which is why some of these establishments are emphasizing on washroom improvements by providing users with a multi-sensory experience. So this is where Rentokil Initial comes in and moving forward to bring in innovations to them to improve the hygiene standards. So basically they can enhance the washroom with colored dispensers to complement their overall ambient and design. And we also see the trend of utilizing more touch-free and sensor-based technology in public areas.
That's true.
Such as
Right.
automated doors, automated flushing systems, water taps, and automated hand soaps and hand dryers, and so on. So this is why commercial properties owners, they would look forward to provide better customer experience to their customers. So at the same time, this will raise the overall standard of hygiene, washroom hygiene in Malaysia.
That's true, yeah. And even see that, I mean, we see that obviously in the commercial, like sectors of malls and all that you're talking about, but even started to see that in general areas also. So that's a big development, at least a big plus point that we can point out.
That's right, definitely. So that's the part where I think if we do compare over the years, there is definitely progress. But still, like I said, a lot of room for improvement.
That's true. And I think a lot of it is on the onus is on us as users as well.
That's right.
So I'll be speaking more to Carol when we come back, as well as, of course, the Rentokil's initiatives, in terms of helping or boosting the hygiene standards in washrooms. When we come back after a few moments, right here on What Matters on TraxxFM, stay tuned.
As the nighttime bleeds into the day.
Welcome back to What Matters right here on Trax Momentum. Calling you with you in the segment. And we're also live on Facebook if you'd like to catch us there at TraxxFM Official. I have a question, comment, as well as a little shout out. Feel free to join us there. Yeah, I'd love for you to do exactly that. Meanwhile, a big thanks to my guest today, Carol Lam, who is the MD for Malaysia, Philippines, and also Brunei of Rentokil Initial, here to talk about washroom hygiene and also related issues in pest awareness as well. We'll touch upon that very, very soon. We talked about how generally, yes, there's still a lot of gripes and concerns about the hygiene levels of our washrooms generally across the board. But we have seen a trend of improvement, particularly when it comes to an overall improvement, you can have to say. Still some areas where we still need to be better. But generally, when it comes to things like you pointed out, sensor technology helps a lot.
That's right.
When it comes to, making sure that things are a little bit on the hygienic side, shall we say. Now, it's very interesting what your side does, because we've seen your involvement, as in Rentokil's involvement in providing, of course, the area for the sanitary pad disposal for quite some time now.
Yes, many years now.
So that's always, I think, an much lauded participation from your perspective. Now, any other areas that you're actually working on in raising hygiene awareness amongst, say, younger generation, or any CSR programs you can share with us?
In fact, Kong Yu, you're right. Rentokil Initial has been in Malaysia for the last more than 50 years right now. We over the years, we've been working very closely with and partnering with customers in the commercial sectors to improve the hygiene standards. Those days, we only started with just the sanitary bins. Those days, they really had clogged toilet water closet issues, and it was that just basic sanitary disposal services that we provided. But over the years now that we have matured and we have worked in partnership closely with all these commercial sectors to raise the hygiene standard by providing a full range of hygiene facilities through innovative hygiene solutions and services like the non-touch, like what I mentioned just now, auto soap dispensers, hand dryers, hand sanitizers as well. And we also have the signature color range that matches with the aesthetic concept of our customers' brand. And at Rentokil Initial, one of our core mission is to educate the younger generation, and it started with me. Okay. I've been with the company for the last 28 years.
Wow!
And when I first joined the company, I've already started doing that with school children, with factory operators in the manufacturing sectors. So for many years we've been doing that. We have become more disciplined in putting that in place. Like we set a KPI among our business in our branches where you have to carry out these CSR programs. So it's a business as usual for us, in fact.
Right.
So, and we are very committed to protect people and enhancing life by sharing our hygiene expertise through the CSR program. So to date, we have about, these programs have benefited about more than 20,000 students nationwide. And the activities include educating the local communities, school children about the importance of proper personal hygiene and good washroom habits. And one key area is the proper hand washing. We even have a nursery rhyme that goes with it. So when we train the young children, even kids from 3 to 5, from the nurseries, primary schools and all, we teach them the nursery rhymes where they sing 2 times of the song. Is completely 20 seconds sufficient for them to completely wash their hands.
So it's true, right? Because that is the general guidelines, isn't it? 20 seconds,
that's right?
With just clean water and soap, preferably, isn't it? Right.
So we do that with the school children, and we also train them to put down the lid before they flush the toilet bowls. This is to avoid the sneeze effect. I'm sure you heard about the sneeze effect, where it's it's the same mechanism like how a human sneezes.
Right, it's with a splash,
so it will
right?
actually split out the stuff into the air, where you carry this mucus, and sometimes people who are sick, so bacteria are carried into the air and it will land on surfaces and all about 8 feet within a minute. So it is important to put down the lid before they flush. So that's where we train them how to also reduce the water spraying around, so as to reduce the slip hazard. People can fall, when the toilet is wet, and it's also a source of malodor. So we share with them all these things that they may encounter and what to avoid, and how to take care of the cleanliness of their school and their homes, and what is the impact of the poor hygiene habits that may result in cross-infection.
Right.
So one student may be sick, and if they don't wash their hands properly, this can pass on to the next child. And poor sanitation can also create a harborage for pests. So leaving stagnant water can also potentially be a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
That's true, yeah.
As well. That's right.
Some questions on that, like some clarifications I want to ask you on that as well. But it's interesting you've been embarking on this program, and you having been with the company for
28 years.
28 years, almost 3 decades. Yes. So congratulations on that. I'm sure your experience has been beneficial. What have you seen in terms of the school children? And you talk about school children, how young are these people, or are you working across a range?
Primary to secondary.
Okay.
Yeah, school children,
right,
basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen, I mean, thanks to your experience, all these years, have you seen a difference in, because I think a lot of it is our own attitude when we use, and what matters, there's different,
back after
in a way, ways that we use the toilet also, right? As in, due to cultural practices, or us as Asians, right? We tend to use water, and there's a water hose and all that. So it tends to be harder to manage in terms of the wetness of the washroom, right? But any interesting points that the youngsters have pointed out, or you've seen different trends emerging as we've gone through the years that you can share with us?
I think children are now also becoming more conscious. I do see a lot more children now using even like hand sanitizers. This all would actually starts with even from the family. From young. So these habits, the behaviors can be inculcated from their young age, not just in schools, but I think from the family, how they are the upbringing of and ensuring that they wash their hands before and after playing with pets, and before they have their food. So these are the general practices I think that they have to put in place. And like I said, a lot more right now, more conscious children. I'm just referring to young children, about using hand sanitizers as well. We do see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So personal hygiene, I think probably it's more aware. I mean, there's more awareness on that. There's more initiative taken by the responsibility. How have you implemented your programs in the context of social responsibility, as in making sure that we all try to take care of our public restrooms, in this case, washrooms and toilets,
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Yeah, we have branches nationwide, 11 branches covering almost every state in Malaysia. So every branch is actually given kind of a KPI to approach schools,
Okay.
Even homes, orphanage, old folks' homes, and all. So this is a part of the community side where we go in to help with the cleaning up. That's the part of the sanitation where we come help to clean up the place to avoid, like I just mentioned, the dreaded disease of
Dengue, yes.
This is actually the most feared pest. Well, not just in Malaysia. I believe it's global.
That's right. Yeah.
It has killed more people than any other, any other kind of a disease.
Yeah, it is.
in that sense
Something
from-
that it's also a mainstay problem, unfortunately, due to the way
That's
the
right.
virus works. Yeah,
Yep.
and also the mutation of the strains and all that kind of thing. So, definitely, when it comes to not having pools of water accumulate here and there, which is a challenge. It's just hygiene. It's the way we use the washroom and so on and so forth, which is very challenging. So, any particular tips, any advice when it comes to making sure that those areas that are potential dengue breeding ground, dengue breeding areas can be minimized?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty shocking. In fact, I think there's a recent report in Star early this month
Yep.
that 2019 was horrendous. We had
It was.
130,000 cases.
Yes.
It's like the highest in the history for Malaysia.
Correct, yeah.
I believe the government agencies has put in a lot of efforts in creating the awareness. They have a lot of campaigns ongoingly. They even have apps, where people can download and see the state of the cases that's arising in certain states. Where are the hotspots and all? I believe people like you and I should be more aware and conscious about how they should be take ownership in making sure that we don't leave stuff like garbage disposal, and we have to eliminate stagnant water in our homes, in our workplace, to avoid the breeding grounds of these Aedes mosquitoes. And I think key thing is being consistent in our action, to keep our surrounding environment clean and tidy. That's the key part. That people must have that part of the ownership,
Right.
and accountability.
Right, accountability for
Yeah.
all, because it is a testament to the hardiness of the disease, unfortunately, for the dengue mosquito and the Aedes mosquito.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because it. We've seen that trend, it will seem like things are improving, and then all of a sudden you have a year like last
Outbreak,
year,
yeah,
where
an
it's
outbreak.
where it's all in terms of the number of cases reported skyrocketed and became like you were saying, the highest in the history.
That's right.
So we have to always keep in mind that it's never enough, lah. To constantly
That's right.
sort of do improve, and in terms of something like hygiene, overall the civic responsibility of maintaining hygiene around us, in this particular case with the washrooms and all that.
That's right.
Super important.
And I think the other thing which they can also do is to really to engage the professionals to carry out proper preventive treatments. More importantly, by the licensed professionals, so that you have the periodic fogging work done. We actually in Rentokil Initial will promote the water-based fogging, because it's also safer and more is friendlier to the environment, and of course to treat any stagnant waters with larvicides and all, those places like ponds and fish ponds that they have in their homes and all. So there is a lot of push and pull effort from everyone across all stakeholders, basically, to improve the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
A good reminder there. Taking our second break right now. On return, more with Carol Lam, MD of Malaysia, Philippines, and Brunei, of Rentokil Initial, right here on Washroom Hygiene +++. Back in a bit on Trax.
Thanks.
You're listening into What Matters. It's Kong Yu with you live in the studios of TraxxFM. We are also live on Facebook at TraxxFM Official on Facebook if you'd like to join us. And meanwhile, we've been speaking to my guest today, Carol Lam, who is the MD for Malaysia, Philippines, and Brunei of Rentokil Initial, talking about washroom hygiene and also pest awareness generally. Interestingly enough, some people may, in terms of managing their space, managing the pests, try to, do their own DIY sort of methods, whether it's to do with termites, in this case, but on a bigger, more important basis, also try to, get rid of mosquito breeding spots around their home. Now, generally, is that okay? I mean, can we do that? Because we talk about how we should all take initiative, right, into making sure that our places and our homes, for example, and our common areas even is free from Aedes breeding ground. What's your opinion?
In general, we do not recommend DIY, as not all these chemicals comes with proper labeling on the right way to use against different pest infestations, rats, cockroaches, and ants, and even mosquitoes. Sometimes consumers may take it lightly on the proper way of storing as well of these DIY chemicals, and thus pose dangers to small children or even elderly folks, who can easily get access to it. As a pest control service provider, we treat the pest species with the right chemical at the right dosage. And we also have very strict standard operating procedures where we handle all our registered chemicals, not just when treating, but we also have a process in place for storing, transporting, as well as disposal. It's important that we care for the environment as well. And we don't just take care of the pest infestation, we ensure the well-being of our customers, our employees, and like I said, the environment in our solutions. So the key here is really very much more about health and safety. And I would really advise that you engage the professionals, rather than DIY.
Okay, interesting. But I guess there's certain things you can, as long as you follow through the proper procedure and educate yourself.
Yeah.
I don't just simply do things, all that. Because also I think you might actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but there might be repercussions to the general, how should we say, the flora and fauna in that area.
That's right.
As well, right?
There is a risk if it's not applied properly, the application-wise.
Yeah, so interesting topic today, and let's close with more on the public toilets.
Okay, sure.
Perspective to things as well,
Yeah.
What can we do? What do you think we can all do in terms of just improving standards? I know starting with children is very important, and getting school children be an important stakeholder as they grow up, and hopefully they're able to inculcate the same values in wanting to maintain the hygiene of public toilets, for example, to their peers, friends, and also to their children later on as well. But what can we do in the meantime as Malaysians?
I think there is a need for stronger collaborations among all the stakeholders. In Malaysia, I think we are progressing compared to the first time when I joined the business. Definitely we have progressed. But ongoingly, if we compare ourselves, we benchmark ourselves with neighboring countries, we are still a bit behind.
Yeah.
So there is a strong need for stronger collaborations among the stakeholders, between the government agencies, with the facility owners, service providers like us, even the industry associations. In Malaysia, we call it Quality Restroom Association of Malaysia, who also play a part in doing auditing in the F&B outlets, grading the outlets and all.
Okay.
And more importantly are the end users. You really hit that point whereby it starts with our children, and there's a lot of push and pull factor across these various stakeholders. So coming back to washrooms, it may seem easy when we say, let's demolish the old washrooms and rebuild it. But the challenging part is really driving that change of user behavior towards improving the sustainability of a hygienic washroom. So we all have to start with ourselves, with a good personal hygiene habits. So inculcate that even from our young children at a young age. This is very fundamental to shape that social culture, so that we become more aware of the benefits in raising the standard of hygiene in the washrooms, and of course to mitigate pest infestation along the way.
Right.
Yeah. So when everyone in the community plays their part in this active governance role continuously, it will eventually create a good ripple effect that benefits every user in the long run, and of course for Malaysia, for the future Malaysia.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way of putting things here. Essentially, you start from home,
That's right.
right? You need
Home
to
and school,
and then school, and then to public areas, right? That's usually
right.
the ripple effect that we're talking
That's
about. Well, thank you very much, Carol. for coming on the show.
Thank you, Kong Yu.
We appreciate it. And
I really enjoy my session here. Thank you very much.
Good to have you here, and good for the good conversation that we had. We've been speaking to Carol Lam, MD of Malaysia, Philippines and Brunei Rentokil Initial, right here on What Matters, and closing shop for now. But I'll be back after the noon news updates for music and more, headed your way all the way till 2 p.m. on Trax Momentum. So stay tuned. And for those of you who joined us on Facebook Live, we do appreciate it. Make sure you spread the link and share the link as well once we go off live, and so that the information can travel and also be shared to other people. Yeah, appreciate it. That's a wrap for What Matters right now. Back after the